Hi guys, Righteous Rhema here, bringing you your dose of truth for the day, and that is this. Never rescue a person without a revelation. Never rescue a person who is devoid of a revelation. Not saying you need to have the revelation, but they need to have the revelation. So sometimes us, good boys and girls, we want to help people. We see people in difficult situations and we feel like it's our duty for us to help them out, especially if we come out of something similar to that. But I'm here to tell you that you should not rescue people from their situation, because that situation contains the revelation that they need to leave the situation. But if you rescue them out of it, they will only have to be put into a new situation to teach them the same revelation. And my former pastor would always tell us, without situation, there can be no revelation. There are so many things that are true in the world for others, for ourselves, but we'll never know it unless the situation presents itself. For example, the situation of the cross. We would have never known that God provided a sacrifice for sinners if there was not a situation in Palestine where a Jewish male, around 30-something years old, died on the cross. A situation had to be there for the revelation to be apparent. Do you see what I'm saying? So never underestimate situations. You cannot prevent situations because you prevent revelations. So talking about rescuing people. So if you're a person like me, you feel like, oh my gosh, I see them going nowhere slowly. I mean, it's one thing for me to let you go, somewhere slowly, but to go nowhere slowly. So you see people in these dead-end relationships, dead-end jobs, dead-end churches, dead-end businesses, and you're like, I want to tell them to get out, but do not rescue them. You must resist the urge to rescue them. The reason is because they will only go back to it. They will only go back into it. Life is the greatest teacher because it teaches you the same lesson over and over again until you get it. So you can rescue them out of this marriage, out of this church membership, out of that job, but they will just find another situation to teach them the same revelation that God wants them to get. So let's think of some examples. I've had friends, male friends, that are very nice guys, and they see these women in these abusive relationships, like physically abusive relationships, and they want to go beat the guy up or whatever. And I'm like, do not get involved in this stuff. Do not lay a finger on her boyfriend, because I'm telling you, the woman has no revelation. He's beating her 10 times before this one, and he's going to beat her 10 times after this one. But you're going to knock on this man's door, he's going to shoot you, and that crying woman who cried to you earlier for rescue will be crying on the stand before a judge saying, that friend of mine came in unannounced and beat up my boyfriend. My boyfriend shot him in self-defense. She will go back to that man. He will beat her 10 more times, and then he will kill her. As most women who are murdered by their, boyfriend, husband, or lover, or their ex. So do not rescue people in bad situations because they're in it for a reason. Sometimes, I've seen people in bad church situations, and I know the church is very toxic. The pastor is very toxic, and I want to get them out of there because I've gotten out of some toxic church situations myself, and so I want to be kind and rescue them as well. But I learned to not help them get out of those bad situations because they're in there for a reason. And so an interesting thing that happens when you try to rescue people is that when the times are bad, they thank you for your input. But when times are good at their job, their church, their relationship, their friendship, they will think, the conversation I had with the other girl, Misty, last week, or Jonathan last week, I don't know how I feel about him right now, because I was thinking about leaving. He was so eager to help me out. He kept saying, yeah, if I was you, I would take that if I was you. And now I'm starting to think that Jonathan or Misty is just hating on me. And so they begin to think that you're the enemy now because you were telling them to do something that they wanted you to tell them anyway. But they have moments of lucidness, means moments when their minds are clear and their minds are back, self-deceptive, and they get back in times where their minds are clear again, then they're back to like, he's not so bad after all. So they're going to be with you when times are bad with that person. But as soon as that person has a good date, a good conversation, a good vacation, a good church service, a good day at work, they're going to go back to that person. And then you're going to be the bad guy. And then they're going to come to you when they really want to leave because they have already cut you off when things were going well with them and that person. So do not rescue people. Let them stay in the situation that they're in because you only look like the bad guy. Now, what you can do to help them is to pray and say, Lord, let a situation arise where they see this person's character is not right. About a month and a half ago, I heard my neighbor, she was upstairs arguing, screaming, cussing, fussing at her boyfriend for cheating on her. So I put on Facebook, I said, the way my neighbor cussed and busted her boyfriend, he'll never cheat on her ever again. And two women commented and they said, nah, she'll go back with him. They said, when a woman is done, she won't even say anything. She'll have everything he owns in a box to the left. She won't have to say a word. When she's done, she's done. All that hollering and screaming is just a reaction. It's not a revelation. So I said, man, it's a good point. That's not how they said it, but that's how I'm wording it. It's the difference between a reaction and a revelation. So just pray that God gives them situations where revelations arise. I had a family member who had a very toxic friendship for many years. And some of her other mutual friends left this friend alone. But my family member, she could not understand why they all had cut her off like that. Well, a situation arose where it was undeniable. It was like, I have it in this friendship. This girl, friendship with this girl is very, very, very toxic. It cannot continue another minute. And that friendship ended then and there. Has not been back together since. It was a revelation that she needed. So if I were you, I would pray for more situations to arise. Women who leave bad men, it ain't because he hit her real good one time. Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes they leave because they went to lunch with their aunt and uncle and they're looking like, man, the love between my uncle and aunt is so beautiful. I want something like that, and I don't want nothing like what I got. And what I got now at home, it'll never end up like this in 50 years. So it's a revelation, it's a knowledge, it's a knowing that they realize I'm not gonna get there with what I have. And so they have to want something more than what they want with that person or that church or that job or whatever, that friendship. So again, you all, do not rescue people. Do not help them because they're going to think of the enemy. And when people think they're being fought against, what they do is, especially if they're Christian, they're going to pray, fast, spiritual warfare. You know, some of y'all may not understand this stuff, but people, they cast the devil out and bind demonic spirits and do spiritual warfare. And the person they're doing spiritual warfare is the very person that's trying to help them out. But they think, oh no, you're hating on me, you're jealous of me. And so they fight even harder. They fight even harder to preserve it. So they think, oh, they're all against us. It's us against the world. So don't fight against it. When they tell you something, don't tell them, girl, if I was you, I would leave if I was you. Don't say that. Let them talk themselves out of it. Maybe they say, oh, we had a, how was your weekend? Your coworker, you know, and you see your coworker on a Monday. How was your weekend? It wasn't that good. What happened? Girl, you know my husband, he just crazy. What happened? Let her tell you. Don't say, well, girl, I've been meaning to tell you this, but your husband ain't nothing. He ain't worth a dime. You know, don't do that. Let her talk herself out of it. And then you say, so why do you think he did that? So what do you think that means? And let her talk herself out of it. And she'll get a revelation, not out of it, like out of the argument. She'll talk herself out of the relationship when she realizes, wow, based on what you're telling me, or based on what I'm telling you, actually, this hobby isn't a good situation for me. So let them talk themselves out of it, because if you rescue them out of it, they'll just fight back. Like if I pull you from something, you're gonna automatically pull it back. You just automatically resist, the force. So don't pull them out of anything. Just let them walk out. But you have to sometimes be very skillful in wording stuff for people. I had a friend, she's in a church that probably not the best fit for her. And so I knew it wasn't a good fit for her. But I knew that if I told her it probably wasn't a good fit for her, she would think, oh, that's the devil. Let's bind the devil. I'm standing behind my pastor. I'm loyal to my pastor. So I didn't say a word. I let her talk for 2.5 hours. And I just asked questions based on what she was saying. I let her clarify her statements to me. I never led her any direction. And on her own, I could tell after the 2.5 hour conversation, she realized like, I think I know what I have to do now. I didn't have to tell her to do anything, because I don't try to control people. I don't control people. God does not control people, and love does not control people. Love lets people do what they want to do, but it still tries to lead them in the right direction. So don't try to tell people what to do. You cannot change people. You cannot even change yourself. So only God can change people, and people have to want to change. So do not tell people what to do. Simply let them talk themselves out of it. So thank you guys for watching. Please share and subscribe to Writeous Rhema. Bye-bye.